Okay, everybody, we're going to do another video, and we're going to be looking at the box model today. The box model is all about divs. Divs, divs, divs. So we've been working on, we're working on this guy here. And it has a div, and that's what's kind of keeping this page from just spreading all over the website, all over your browser. So divs are great, and we can style them and do all sorts of cool things with them. So let's get started. I'd like to show you first of all the box model, like the general sort of terms for it. So if I just Google, guess what? Box model, like CSS, we'll get some sweet, sweet pictures that will show us all about the box model. I guess I'll take a look at this picture here. I don't know, they're all good. Whoo, here we go. So this kind of tells you the different parts of a div, essentially. And so we have like our div is basically a combination of margin, border, and padding, and then all the stuff that's inside of it. So those words are pretty important to remember. Margin, border, padding. There'll also be CSS terms for affecting those things. Margin is the space that's outside of the box. Padding is the space inside of the box, between the box and the contents, like your paragraphs and stuff. And border is the box, the outline around the box, which by default is invisible. So let's go mess around with it. I'm going to go to my CSS. I'm just going to use the typography page again. You are welcome to do the same as well. And maybe it's not really called typography anymore, honestly. But let's just keep going. It's all good. So right here, we've already taken a look at some things we can do with a div. You can change its width. There's also a height property that you can specify if you want to make it taller or shorter. And then margin left and margin right. That's how we've been centering things. But the margin property is where we'll begin. And that's just the space that's outside of your div. So if you want to, like, say, move your div down, you can do margin top. And you can make it 100 pixels or whatever number you want. And the effect will be that your whole box is moved down. But actually, I probably should start with, I'll just refresh that just to show you. See how the box moved down? Of course, you can't really see the box, can you? I realized the flaw in my thing. So maybe before I talk about margin bottom and margin top, I'll just mention border. Border, we've also talked about a little bit. I'll just put a 1 pixel solid black border around this div, just so you can see what's up with the div. And I'll just refresh that. Save and refresh. Here it is. You can sort of see the box now, and you can see now that we have a margin that's at the top, the margin that's on the side of this box. Margin is the space that's outside the box. So if you want to push this box around all over the place, you can play with those numbers. The border itself there's a bunch of things you can do with the border. For example, you can change the thickness of it. You can change the color of it. So I can make this a 5 pixel red border. And you can also change the style. Honestly, I don't use much other than solid, but I believe there's dashed, dotted, and a whole bunch of other ones, like dashed, for example. If I save that, you can see that the style changes to a dotted line. Maybe you're making an online coupon. I'm not too sure, but I could see how that could be cool. You could come up with ways to make that work. You know, if you want to see some more examples of those, you can check out over here. We got ourselves some different styles. Let's go down to border style. Oh, yeah. We have ourselves dotted, solid, double, dashed. All sorts of great things. So I'm going to pause that, and we'll go and continue making more. Hi. Oh, our substitute teacher has arrived.
Yes.
So I'll just finish taking this video, and then we'll talk a little bit more. Thank you. All right. So that's borders. As you can see, actually, I'm going to stick it back to solid. And the next part of it is going to be the padding. Padding is the space between the border and the content. And you can see there's like 0 space there, right? Like the border and the text are touching. And that's a general no-no in any kind of design. If you open up any magazine or website, there's a border around something, then there's going to be spacing between it. So you can add in some spacing there with the padding property. So I can just type in padding, And this will just put it top, bottom, left, and right. But just like margin, you can specify padding left, padding right. If you just want padding all the way around, like 20 pixels, for example, then you can make that happen. And there you can see, it kind of looks a little more professional, right? We got a little bit of padding here, a little bit of padding there. That's starting to look a little bit better. Some other things you can do. You can curl the corners, like round the corners off. It's called border radius. So border radius, what you do is you give it the radius of a circle, and then that circle will fit inside the corners and we'll change it. You can adjust the different corners separately, but if you just type in one number, like if I have 40 pixels, for example, then all the corners of that div will be rounded off as if a circle with a diameter of, a radius of 40 pixels is put into the corners. So I'll save it, refresh it, and you can see, whoa, we got our little rounded corners going on in the back. Kind of wish there was a little bit of stuff on the bottom. Like I don't quite go far enough down. So how do I change that? It's going to be margin bottom. I want to be able to scroll down further. So bottom, 200 pixels, whatever numbers you think it is. I save that. Then if I scroll to the bottom, see, okay, got more space in the bottom now. That's the margin on the outside. Padding is on the inside. Border is all the way around. And last but not least, you can be a little bit fancy, I suppose. If you were to add in something like, I guess a box shadow. It's the same thing as text shadow. So those numbers when we learned about text shadow, same type of numbers. So we can do the same types of shadows with text as on a div. It's called box shadow instead of text shadow. Just sort of the offset. I'll offset it a bit more. Here's how fuzzy it'll be, and this will be the color of the shadow. So I can refresh that, and we can get some shadow, drop shadow behind our boxes. And there's all sorts of fun things you can do with that. As a border, I think it looks a little cooler. Well, it depends what you want to do. But I'm gonna make it not offset at all, so it's centered. And then I'm gonna make like 100 pixels. That's maybe a little bit too easy. 50 pixels. And I'm gonna choose red as my color, and it's exactly behind. It's gonna fade out to red all directions, and you can get like a cool kind of glow around your border, which I think looks well. It could be cool. It's no guarantee. You can see how you might be able to play with that. You're making your Super Saiyan, website about Goku, and you want it to glow yellow or something like that. So you could have some fun with that. So that's the box model, and I invite you to experiment with your div and try out different settings, see what you can do to modify your divs and create something that looks really cool. All right, thank you.